Welcome in. Welcome into the High Noon Rant. I am Pugs Moran. We do this every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. High noon-ish. Today a little bit earlier than normal. Don't know. Oh, let me turn my phone off. Don't know what's going on. Hold on. No. Let me do one more thing. There we go. I just drooled out of my mouth. That's weird. That doesn't bode well. I do this show every Monday through Friday. It's current events driven. It's current events without the politics. We don't care. Red, blue. Don't be stupid. Stop it. This is a show for the normal people. This is a show for, as I said earlier in the week, or was it yesterday? I don't even know. This is a show for those of us who've never been arrested in a Target. This is a show for those of us who have never been kicked off an airplane. This is a show for the rest of us who are happily invited to our family's Thanksgiving and holiday gatherings. This is not for those people who check any of those boxes. This is probably not going to be your cup of tea. What we do is we talk about the world. We talk about all the stories that are happening. And, if I'm being honest, from my perspective, my perspective, I'm a middle-aged white guy, grew up, in the 80s, Gen X. I don't give a shit about your politics. Yeah, I'm just going to look at the world and I'm going to tell you everything that I see. And I'm going to come at it from my worldview, my experience. And hopefully, we find enough people that we connect with. And then suddenly, we're agreeing that there is an alternate worldview than the two choices that we're being forced to accept. That's the goal of this show. I perform the show in what is known as a stream of consciousness rant. It is nothing is really prepared. Just everything that I say is just whatever is in my head at the moment, and I just let it fly. I'll do this for about 2 hours, and then I'll sink into a desperate sort of soul-crushing depression for about 20 minutes, and then I pop out of it. It's an emotion dump. Performing this show every day is an emotion dump. We do the show in 4 quarters. I call it 4 quarters. It's not just me who calls it. I mean, anybody would call it that. It's four things. First quarter is a segment we call Antecedently on This Day. Second quarter is birthdays. That makes sense. You know what that is. Antecedently on this day, though, that's this day in history. It's just through my lens. Quarter 3 is the deads. That's where we talk about people who died on this day. And we decide where'd they go, heaven or hell. We talk about their lives, what they do good, what they do bad, what outweighs what, where'd they go. Quarter 4 is where the rubber hits the road, as I like to say. It's the bulk of the show. First 3 quarters, probably about a half hour, 40 minutes tops. Last quarter, the fourth quarter, that can go an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. That's where we get into the hot topics, current events, headlines, everything that people are talking about today. That's where we're all getting prepped up. So we're not walking around going, oh, I didn't hear about that. And then some idiot has to tell you. You should be tuning in and streaming this idiot every day. Allow this idiot to tell you. And then you can weigh my idiotic things, my idiotic hot takes on current events. You can weigh those against the idiots in line, at Starbucks or 7-Eleven or whoever it is you end up talking to randomly. All right. Let's get into some business behind the scenes. First, we'd like to say we've got an executive producer today. That's right. Somebody tip the show. Thank you, Barney. Thank you, Terry. First tip of the week. Appreciate that. Not pushing for tips this week, but they are appreciated and they are absolutely needed. Last week was Pledge Week. We pushed hard last week. We made it across the finish line. Just barely, but we made it. And thank you so much to all you good folks who have been funding this show with your gratuities for 2.5 years now. How do you get to be the executive producer? Well, I just kind of explained it, didn't I? You be the biggest tipper of the day. We'll put up the tip thing there. Here you go. That's it. Just in case you're so moved. What do I got for you? I got a lot going on. Just not stuff that I'm comfortable discussing at this moment right here in this environment. Hi, Barney. Barney's in the chat room. Thank you, sir. Peter's here. April's here. Byron, what's Byron going to play poker? Says, I'm playing a big tournament. He's going to watch later. Okay. All right. We lost out on Byron. That's okay. He'll catch up. That's the good thing about this show. It's not evergreen. Not in the slightest. Evergreen, a term in media used for something that can be recycled over and over again. And people won't go, that's old. Now this is going to be old because it's all about today's current events. I didn't think that through. That's why we don't get many residual hits on these shows. You either watch them within the first like 5 hours and then, because who the hell wants to know what the big news stories of Tuesday, April 5th, 2022 was? You know what? Nobody's going to go back and watch those. I didn't think it through. But I enjoy doing this. So, and we all enjoy doing it together, I think. Hi, Frank. Frank's in the chat room. And yes, we should all be sending good mojo to Byron, our resident degenerate gambler who's going off to play poker. The life of a gambling man. Yeah, check this out. We got the dog in the audience today. Yeah. Why don't you see this? Look at her. Can you see her? Yeah. Hold on. See if we get a good view of her. See if she turns. Here's the tail. The tail tells everything. CeeLo, say hi to the camera. Oh, now she's just being obstinate. Hey! There we go. Look at her, ladies and gentlemen. That's CeeLo. She's the house dog. She has to stay in because it's going to rain. And so, she was loud out earlier today, but it's going to rain this afternoon. She's going to get muddy. Yeah, I'm talking about you. She's going to get muddy. Look, come here. Look what I got for you. She doesn't care. All right. She looks like she's stowed for the day. Oh, we're doing a Batman episode. And we do the whole episode like this. Remember when Batman used to turn the cameras and we all thought it was the height of special effects? We're like, that's so cool. All right, let me fix this. Hey, there we go. All right. I don't even know if that's perfect. Leslie C is here. Hi, Leslie. Toronto was in here. I just want to make sure I say hi to all the early folks in the chat room. Toronto was in here. Who else? Anybody else I didn't say hi to? Joel. Look at Joel. Look at Cam. There we go. Jen Hernandez. We got all the people's checking in. All right. We're all accounted for. At least the important ones. Thank you for being here, folks. So that new Walton Goggins show is I guess on Prime starting today, debuted today. Fallout. It's a video game or something. You guys know about this? This isn't I didn't put this together. I was just distracted by something that I wrote here on the side. I love me some Walton Goggins. Walton Goggins is I don't know what Fallout is, but you know what? I didn't know what was the zombie movie with Pedro Pascal in it, the zombie show that was on Last of Us. I didn't know what that game was either. And I watched that with my son and I liked it. But Fallout, the new Fallout series starring Walton Goggins, today debuted, I guess, on Prime. So there you go. It's going to be a rainy night. You can watch that. Although I don't know if it's going to actually rain. It's supposed to have been raining cats and dogs here where I live, according to my specialized zip code targeted weather report that I get. And we haven't gotten any rain. It was supposed to, the weathermen. Don't get me started on the weathermen. I know I went after him yesterday, but it's just again, I'll say it. They're like draft experts, NFL draft experts. No accountability whatsoever. You cancel plans because the weatherman tells you it's going to thunderstorm all day and then it doesn't thunderstorm. There's no accountability for that. I don't know if there should be, but we have to make our own choices, personal responsibility. But yesterday at like 10 o'clock, I'm looking at it. It says it's going to start the thunderstorm at midnight, and then it's going to thunderstorm for the next 24 hours. When you look at the hourly thing, it's like thunderstorms. Then I wake up this morning. I woke up this morning at 7:15. I woke up, checked the weather. And what do you mean it's not raining? It was supposed to have been raining all night. So then it's like, no, it's going to rain at 10 o'clock this morning. Well, 10 o'clock this morning came and went. And then they moved it to noon, and now it's 12:12, and it still isn't rained yet. I heard thunder once, like a half hour ago, so I don't know if we're going to get rain or not. At least here in central Dallas, we haven't been getting it. I saw the videos of all the hail and all that in the suburbs, so you guys got something. And they're getting crazy walloped out east. In East Texas, there's a crazy storm going on, but that ain't us. That ain't getting to us. Jen says it's chilly and drizzling in South Lake. Well, Jen, I didn't know that you were a South Lake person. Look at her. Fancy. Some of us are fancy. Jeff's here. Hey, Jeff. Mama Beller's here. Hello. I want to make sure I'm saying hi to everybody. All right, that's it. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to start. Should we start? I like to take a little moment to get running. Sprinkling in Fort Worth. That's the report from Peter. Thank you, Peter. Program directors were always upset with my former partner. And honestly, just program directors when I do things alone, because I don't get right into it. They're like, you just got to get right into it. And, my internal monologue is responding by saying, but I'm just so interesting. And I have so much interesting things to say. And the program director is like, nobody's interested in what you watched on TV last night. And my inner monologue is saying, I think that's wrong. I think people might be. Leave me alone. What are the many reasons why I probably am not employed in radio? I am an artist. Or so I claim. So I don't have to say I am a loser. It's an artist. It sounds better. Go with it. Jen's at her office in South Lake. All right. You can still be fancy. You can still be fancy for 8 hours a day. There's nothing wrong with that. Make yourself feel good. Let's get started. All right. It is the High Noon Rant. I'm Pugs Moran. It is the 10th day of April, year of our Lord 2024. It's the 101st day. They gave me the two listings. Remember yesterday we celebrated that it was the 100th day of the year? And I'm like, well, it's the only 100th day because of the leap year. Well, now they're saying April 10th is the 100th day of the year. And then in parentheses, 101st in leap years. Well, it's a leap year. So it's the 101st day. So go ahead. You can wipe the board clean of the first 100. You could say, you know what? The first 100 of 2024, I was just kind of getting my feet wet. But now, second 100 is very crucial. For this to be a successful year for us, we've got to really make the next 100 days do something. Then, then you need to do about another good solid 50, and then you can coast through the holidays. That's how I look at it. That's how when we tally up our year, that's how we should determine. My first 100 days, not so much, just a lot of waiting. Hopefully the second 100 days is going to be a lot better. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Antecedently on this day is the first segment that we do. It's my version of this day in history. I'm not reinventing the wheel here, but it is a unique perspective from me. So here we go. Antecedently on this day. On this day in 1912, the Titanic set sail from Southampton, England on her maiden and only voyage. Yeah. So what's it going to be, tomorrow or Friday when we hear about the Titanic sinking? Like how long of a voyage was that? How long did it take? I don't know. Probably if I watched the movie Titanic again, I could learn this, but I have no interest in watching that stupid movie. I hated that movie. I'm sitting there. I'm at Water Tower Place Theaters, watching it with my wife at the time. I have to say that, my wife at the time. I'm watching it with my wife at the time. And I just turned to her and I said, look, I go, there's a Galaga machine. I used to like Galaga. Or was it Zaxxon? I like Zaxxon. It was a retro video game that I hadn't seen in like 10 years in the lobby. I think it was Zaxxon. I'm going to go play Zaxxon. You come get me when the iceberg approaches. I had no idea that Titanic was going to be like 2 hours of like Jack and Rose. I don't care about Jack and Rose. I care about what happened. I care about a boat hitting an iceberg and then the mayhem that ensued. I don't care about some stupid romantic subplot that wasn't even a subplot. Hitting the iceberg in the story of the Titanic, hitting the iceberg was the subplot. The fuck? That is just... Antecedently on this day in 1925, The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald is published in New York City for the very first time. The Great Gatsby. Now, I don't know if this is ground zero for us here in America, somehow mythologizing and romanticizing the rich douchebag, but certainly The Great Gatsby had something to do with that. Because that dude was a douchebag. And we immortalized it. Well, he's not a real guy, but we immortalized the character as somehow he's aspirational and not a cautionary tale. Screw you, F. Scott Fitzgerald. You wrote the book so that you could be friends with society people. That's pretty much... Moving on. Antecedently on this day in 1970, we're going to skip ahead. Antecedently on this day in 1970, Paul McCartney announces that he's leaving the Beatles for personal and professional reasons. I bet those professional reasons were pretty personal to you. It was the professional reason was I couldn't work with John anymore, and the personal reason was that really hurt him. Yeah. That's fine. You know what? Good day, bad day is fine. The Beatles breaking up are fine. They crammed so many songs. They were so prolific. They were only together. Wait, on this day, 1970. So they were only popular for like 8 years as the Beatles. I mean, they grinded it out in Hamburg and stuff in the Liverpool scene for a couple of years before that. But really, they broke in 63, and then this happens in 70. So 7 years, that's it. When you think of all of the shit that they did in 7 years, wow. And then, this is fine. They broke up. They all did solo stuff. Even Ringo had a couple of hits that were pretty good. I think that if we are this might be a polarizing statement, but I think that now that we look, because let's not count anything new that McCartney does. McCartney's not doing anything new that's going to make us remember, I think now we can take a look at all of the post-Beatle work, the songs, the albums, the successes. We can take a look at all 4 individual Beatles, and I will give you this ranking of how good I think they were post-Beatles. Post-Beatle band member solo career draft. Okay, that's what we're doing. I'm just doing it on the fly here. Number 1, the first pick off the board, the number 1 solo Beatle, George Harrison. I think it really is George Harrison. And a lot of people are like, what? I'm like, no, it's George Harrison. Pick 2, Paul McCartney. Wings was really big. He had some good songs. He had a lot of stupid shit too. Like Paul McCartney got really dumb in the 80s. Say. He just got really weak. But, there's some cool Wing stuff like Band on the Run, and there's some cool Jet. There's some really cool banging Wing stuff. All right, number 3, I'll go with Lennon. And really, this is just because Lennon put out some really terrible Plastic Ono Band garbage right when the Beatles broke out, and then did nothing until he was dead. And then they released Milk and Honey. Was that it? Or Double Platinum? Double Fantasy? I don't know, whatever. He put a couple out at the end of his life. I'm going to go with John Lennon 3. And Ringo gets 4th. That's unfortunate. Ringo's used to being 4th in any Beatle ranking, I'm sure. On this day in 1970, Paul McCartney announces that he's leaving the Beatles. On this day in 1979, the Red River Valley tornado outbreak. This was a tornado that hit Wichita Falls, Texas, killing 42 people in 1979. 1979, Wichita Falls. I imagine there were some little baby bowling for supers running around up there trying to avoid any flying cows or whatever it is that happens when a tornado hits a town like Wichita. Which it's what is it? Wait, hold on. It's Wichita Falls. That's it. I don't know. My head always like Fort Wichita. No, it's not Fort Wichita. Maybe there was a Fort Wichita, but that's not what this is. All right, that's going to do it. That's antecedently on this day. Quarter 1 is already in the books. See what I mean when I tell you these things fly by? Let's do quarter 2. They say it's their birthday. These are people celebrating birthdays today. And honestly, the long and the short of this is, are they cool or not? That's kind of how we do it. On this day in 1936, the world welcomed a man who I believe, when all is said and done, will be the most influential football presence in the history of the game of football. Ladies and gentlemen, on this day in 1936, happy birthday, John Madden. Now you're probably going, Pugs, what are you talking about, John Madden? What do you mean John Madden, the most influential? What? George Halas, Curly Lambeau, Paul Brown? What? Come on. What's a Bill Belichick? You're going with John Madden? He dude won 1 Super. Yeah, I'm going with John Madden. John Madden was a player. John Madden was a coach. And then John Madden became the voice of the NFL, the preferred voice. There were a number of people who did color commentary, but I think everybody agreed that you want the biggest games. You wanted John Madden and Pat Summerall calling them. He became the conduit to which we understood the game, to which generations of people learned to enjoy the game with the same zest as this crazy old man in the booth, John Madden. But that's not why. There are a number of guys that can lay claim to that kind of thing. The reason John Madden, and I think the most important name in football and will be thought of such in 100 years or whatever, is because of the damn video game. Madden football, whoever talked him into, whenever it was, like 1995, when people didn't know what anything was, and they said, hey, John, You want to just take a check and lend your name to this video game? And, and he did it. Not only will that ensure vast generational wealth for his descendants and family moving forward in perpetuity, or at least until they stop they're going to make, as long as there's an NFL, there's going to be some version of a Madden game for people to play. My son is 14 years old. He knows everything about John Madden. John Madden this, John Madden that. That should not be the case. And it would not be the case if John Madden wasn't Madden, the football game guy that my kid plays religiously and loves, and everybody in his generation loves, and people older love. I mean, it's going on multiple generations now of that sort of impact where John Madden is the guy that little kids playing a video game first become enthralled with the sport through. So there you have it. Born on this day, John Madden, I believe, the most influential single individual in the history of NFL football. Born on this day, Don Meredith. Dandy Don Meredith. Dandy Don Meredith is not the most influential, but Dandy Don Meredith was a fun guy. If you're Gen X like me, you probably don't remember Don Meredith playing football. I don't remember him playing for the Dallas Cowboys as quarterback. My first Dallas Cowboys quarterback that I can recall is Roger Staubach. But I do remember Don Meredith on Monday Night Football, and I remember Don Meredith doing Nestea commercials. Remember Don Meredith? Didn't he invent the Nestea plunge? Wasn't that him? The Nestea plunge, and Don Meredith would fall backwards into a pool. Happy birthday, Dandy Don. Why did I say Dandy Don like Howard Cosell? I don't know. I couldn't stop it. Born on this day in 1952. Oh my God, one of the OGs of douchebaggery. I had a friend who was really into this guy, like going back to like 1986. I had a friend who was like, "Oh man, he's so cool, he's so awesome." And then I'm looking at him. I'm like, he doesn't seem cool. One, he seems like a violent dick. If that's cool to you, then okay. And the other thing, he's not awesome. He's got a ponytail. What is that? And this was, mind you, before. Remember how everybody started having ponytails in the 90s? Especially like muscle dudes. Like muscle dudes started wearing ponytails. Now they all wear man buns. But back then they all had little ponytails. They all had little Steven Seagal ponytails. I always thought Steven Seagal was an apex D-bag. He's Steven Seagal. Get out of here, this guy. And then it turned, his entire story is made up. No, he's a seventh dad. Yeah, whatever. Probably grew up in Toledo. He had a story, though. He'd kick your ass. Yeah, get in line, man. There are a lot of people that kick my ass. I got a 14-year-old son who could kick my ass. You think I'm going to back down from Steven Seagal? If he wants to fight me, then he wants to kill me, because that's what's going to happen. Run my mouth. You're being disrespectful. No, I'm not. He's a D-bag. But happy birthday, Steven Seagal. Although the movies that he did with Andy Davis, his earliest films, Andy Davis was a filmmaker who specialized in this like street noir, this like dark, gritty kind of thing. Out for Justice, I think, was an Andy Davis one. What was the first one? Where the pool table, where he like beats all these guys up around a pool table? That was a good one. Yeah, I think I liked him when he played characters named like Nico, or he's always had a character with one name. What was the last good Steven Seagal? And none of them were good, but what was the last like fully enjoyable Steven Seagal movie? Is it the one where they were on the boat under siege, where Erika Leniak popped out of the cake for no reason, just because Steven Seagal movie, we need to have gratuitous nudity? Jeff Ballard says that Steven Seagal's discipline of fighting is more dance fighting. Adam's got a ponytail. There he goes. Adam's got a ponytail. But I think Adam's ponytail is different. Well, I mean, maybe it's not. Let's break down the ponytail for a moment here, because I think the ponytail initially was put in the category of, okay, so you're sensitive ponytail guy. Like the ponytail meant that you were sensitive. But then when the ponytail got mixed with the roid-raging bodybuilder, it became this sort of duality of character, where somehow this is how a big dumb meathead kind of thought he could be interesting. He's like, look how scary I am. But then he's like, my ponytail says I like hugs. That's a weird duality there with the muscle-bound ponytail guy. I think, Adam, you're just going for the sensitive guy. Yeah. Hey, look, you could go do. I am a bald man. I have absolutely no comments for anyone who wants to do anything with their hair. Get crazy with your hair. My hair left me. Actually, my hair didn't left me. My hair started to act like it was leaving me, like back in the 90s. It started to act, like when you're in a relationship with a girl and you can tell that something isn't right. My hair it was starting to act up, and I was like, oh, really? And I do what I always do. I kicked my hair out long before it left me. I started shaving my head. I started shaving my head like very early on in the process. So I don't even know. I don't even know where my pattern baldness is because I've always shaved my head. I'm not gonna give my bad genetics the glory of knowing that they're responsible for me being bald. I made that choice on my own. I said, I'm shaving my head starting now. And it wasn't good either. I started shaving my head because, shaved head started to become a thing with black athletes. And I wasn't a black athlete. I was a fish belly white, pudgy white dude with a shaved head. That's when someone first commented that I resembled a thumb. That's real good for me. Seriously, you just draw a face on that. That's me. All right, let's continue on. Birthdays. Born on this day in 1975. Happy birthday to David Harbour. David Harbour is the chief from Stranger Things. He's been in a bunch of stuff. I like him in everything. He's always good. But there you go. David Harbour. Happy birthday. Born on this day in 1975. Born on this day in 1980. And here's a name. I'm going to throw this name out to you. And you may not even know the name, but you certainly will probably know the character that he played. He plays an iconic television character. And this is a guy, here's a guy on John Madden Day. This is a guy who 15 years ago, I would have bought large amounts of Hollywood stock in. I would have thought this guy's going to be a leading man. Look at him. He's young. He's this, he's that. He's handsome. Oh my God, they're going to turn him into the next Brad Pitt. He's on a hot show. Everybody likes him. His character's cool, And then nothing. This guy's career went nowhere. This guy completely disappeared. I'm talking about happy birthday, Charlie Hunnam. Charlie Hunnam, who of course played Jax Teller on Sons of Anarchy. I thought Jax was going to be a movie star. And then, Charlie Hunnam showed up. He's Charlie Hunnam, as it turns out, is a fancy proper English dude. He's not Jax Teller from Modesto or whatever the hell they were from there. Charming, somewhere outside Bakersfield or Sons of Anarchy. I got to rewatch Sons of Anarchy. That's a good show. That's good. That's dad porn. That's like really good apex level dad porn. Sons of Anarchy. Happy birthday, Jax Teller, a.k.a. Charlie Hunnam, born on this day in 1980. Born on this day in 1988, Haley Joel Osment. Haley Joel Osment. Now, this is the little kid from Sixth Sense, I See Dead People kid. His career didn't really go bonkers either. That's not uncommon for child stars. But here's the thing about Haley Joel Osment. So, and maybe this is just me. I don't know. Should we do this? I think I did this once for James. And he had never realized it before. And I was like, yeah, I don't know what that's about, but that's kind of weird. Here, let me see something. I'll tell you in a minute. Haley Joel Osment. And okay, hold on. I don't have any good ones. I guess maybe this is just a me thing. Anyway, my point is this. Haley Joel Osment, the kid from The Sixth Sense, grew up, and now I get him confused for Chaz Bono. Like, have you seen Chaz Bono? Chaz Bono, Chastity Bono, Sonny and Cher's kid, transitioned very publicly. Chaz Bono. He is now Chaz Bono. But Chaz Bono looks like Haley Joel Osment. And it's so weird because it's interesting when Haley Joel Osment shows up in something. When he shows up in something, I'm like, it's Haley Joel Osment all grown up, the kid from Sixth Sense. And it's also interesting when Chaz Bono periodically shows up in something. I go, it's Chaz Bono. He used to be a she, and I watched her as a little girl on TV because I did. I remember Chastity Bono as a little girl. She's like my same age. So it's weird when you see both of them, and I always have to go, wait a second, is that Haley Joel Osment or is that Chaz Bono? And I have to say, wait, is that Chaz Bono? Anyway, that's my problem. Happy birthday, Haley Joel Osment, born on this day in 1988. Born on this day, now I got to see. All right, so I got to see if I'm right about this. Hold on. It might just be a me thing. All right, because I pulled up Haley Joel Osment pictures just so that I could be reminded of which one was which. And not, maybe it's not so similar. They just remind me of each other. I don't know what it is. Okay, never mind. Moving on. That went nowhere. I apologize for that. Yeah, Mama Beller says, no way do they look alike. Okay, but I confuse them for each other. I don't know why. It's a glitch in my brain. They're similar body types. Like they're doughy, sort of similar. And I guess like, Chaz Bono is like 30 years older. I guess that's a thing. Because as I say, I remember Chaz Bono's my age, and Haley Joel Osment's like could be my grandkid. No, it could be my son though. All right, there you go. Born on this day in 1988, Haley Joel Osment. Born on this day in 1992, Daisy Ridley. That's one of my favorite names. I love that name. That's a great name. First of all, last name is Ridley. That's a cool last name. You're working with a lot there. But you don't want to screw that up, right? Like you don't want to be Bob Ridley, right? And that doesn't, you got to be something gadiddly. You want to do that. Daisy Ridley, it doesn't have the iambic pentameter that I'm looking for, but it certainly is a cool name. She's a Star Wars girl, right? Isn't that how we know Daisy Ridley? She's like a Star Wars girl. Does she look like Natalie Portman, or is it just me? Once again, when I look at two black people and I confuse them for one another, it's not because I'm racist. It's because I have a long demonstrated history of thinking all kinds of people look alike and not being able to tell. That's a me thing. We've actually talked about it. I've actually been through this in therapy. It's because when I meet somebody, I am naturally anxious and I begin performing, and thus I am not taking into account, markers on their face or what they look like. It's just secondary. I'm just trying to get through the moment because I'm such a weird, messed up person. But I try to be better. I try to look at people, try to look at their face and go, okay. Look at their face, say their name. Of course, in my head, because I'm not a professional crazy person. I'm not going to be like, burr, burr, burr. Nah, that's nuts. All right, that's going to do it. Daisy Ridley, born on this day in 1992. I wish I had more to say about her, but I simply don't. Let's get moving into the deads. These are the people who've died on this day. We're going to take a look at all the things that they have done in their lives, and we're going to decide based on our own understanding of Christian Judeo entry into heaven or damnation to hell. We're going to decide, where did they go? Let's get started. Here are the people who have died on this day. Died on this day in 1962, Stuart Sutcliffe. Oh, who's Kurt Russell? Or who Kurt Russell and Patrick Swayze look like? Yeah, they do. Kurt Russell, Patrick Swayze, and Dennis Quaid. You mix him in there. You're absolutely right, they do. Hollywood Clone Factory, Al. Come on. Follow along. Stuart Sutcliffe died on this day in 1962. My God, We're talking about the Beatles. It was on this day in 1970 that Paul McCartney announced that he was leaving the Beatles, essentially, ending them. Well, here's an event that happened in 1962, the death of Stuart Sutcliffe, that also almost broke up the Beatles. Stuart Sutcliffe was a member of the Beatles. The Beatles at the time of Stuart Sutcliffe, he couldn't play an instrument. I don't know what he was pretending to play. Was he pretending to play bass? I think at this point, Paul was still playing guitar. But the Beatles were John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, Stuart Sutcliffe, and Pete Best on drums. That was the Beatles. And Stuart Sutcliffe, there have been rumors and stuff that John Lennon had like a man crush on Stu Sutcliffe, because Stu Sutcliffe was essentially only in the band because he was the most handsome. He was like a matinee idol looking guy, and he was an art school friend of John Lennon's, and he couldn't play music, but the chicks all dug him. So they stuck him up there on stage. They taught him a couple of chords, and, they went to where'd they go? Not Munich, wherever that was. I can't think of the name. The port town there in Germany. And it was a year earlier. It was before that. The Beatles had played a show somewhere in London. This is how they believe Stuart Sutcliffe died. This was like around 1960. They had played a show in London somewhere, some outside London. They weren't big yet. They were a bar band. They were playing a show, and after the show, Stuart Sutcliffe got jumped in the back alley by a bunch of people who were at the show. John Lennon and George Harrison ran to his rescue, and a big fight broke out and all that kind of stuff. Stuart Sutcliffe suffered a cracked skull. Now, Stuart Sutcliffe didn't do anything about the cracked skull. He just went home and, went to bed or whatever, which you never do with a major head injury. But so fast forward now, the Beatles are in Germany, and Stuart Sutcliffe is hooked up with this hot German chick named, what was her name? Astrid Kirchner or something like that. All the Beatles had a hot crush on her. She was hot. I mean, I've seen pictures of her from 1961 or whatever. She was a hot chick. She's a hot chick by this. She was a hot chick. She was sexy. She was very fashionable. So all the Beatles were in love with her, but somehow Stuart Sutcliffe got her. They became close friends. He moved in with her while the Beatles were there in Germany. And he started to experience headaches and having all these medical things, and then he died. On this day, he just dropped dead of an aneurysm in his brain that had been leaking there since he got kicked in the head after a Beatles show in 1961. And that's all she wrote for Stuart Sutcliffe. Of course, good news for the Beatles. They just moved on. People always say, Pete Best, he left the Beatles just before they got, big. No, Pete Best didn't leave the Beatles just before they got big. Pete Best was fired from the Beatles because Ringo Starr was a more well-known drummer in the London scene. Pete Best got jobbed. It wasn't like Pete Best made the worst. It wasn't his decision. And also, of the former Beatles, Pete Best didn't have it the worst. Stu Sutcliffe had it the worst. He died. He died at 21 years old on this day. We're putting Stu Sutcliffe in heaven. 21-year-old dude. He seemed like a good dude. People liked him, kicked in the head. Don't ever get a head injury and then just not get it checked out. Err on the side of, I should go to the emergency room just in case. All right, so there you go. Dead on this day in 1962, original Beatle, Stuart Sutcliffe. Dead on this day in 1992, original just god of 80s comedy, Sam Kinison. Sam Kinison. Round of applause for Sam Kinison. Man, was he good. Recently watched an episode of the Vice TV series Dark Side of Comedy, which sort of focuses on any number of great comedians who met dark ends. Watched it with my 14-year-old son. I was interested to see if Sam Kinison's brand of comedy was just of the moment, or is it timeless? Was he just funny? Because it wasn't like, Sam Kinison was Bill Hicks, where I look at a lot of Bill Hicks's material and it was so steeped in the events of the day that it's not evergreen. It's like, it's not as funny as it was back then. Sam Kinison, though, he hit on some universal truths. And, it came from his life as a reverend, this Pentecostal preacher, screaming and yelling, that whole thing. You learn what moves people. You learn what connects with people. And he brought that into his comedy. He was so great. So my kid's watching, and what was the thing that really made him laugh? Okay. Well, the screaming, anything where he screamed. What he really liked was we ended up watching the clip from Back to School where Sam Kinison plays the professor. And he's talking about, and I was in Vietnam. My kid thought that was hysterical. So the good news is that I think Sam Kinison's style of comedy, it certainly does transcend and it carries through. So that's good. But Sam Kinison's going to hell. We can't screw around the bush there. He's going to hell. By almost any standard of human behavior, Sam Kinison, he might have been a nice guy one-on-one, but he was also a monster when he was drunk. And he was cruel and he was mean and he was, out of control. Drugs. He loved drugs. He loved booze. Sam Kinison died. Interestingly enough, I'm not going to say ironically, but interestingly enough, Sam Kinison died during a stretch of his life when he was known to be sober and trying to really focus on taking his career to the next level. At the time of his death, he had already established himself as one of the most important comedians of the previous 10 years, certainly one of the most successful. But he had gone through the rock and roll thing and, he was kind of settling down to a degree. And he's driving to a gig from his house in Los Angeles to Vegas, where he was playing on the weekend. And a drunk driver kills Sam Kinison. The very idea that Sam Kinison was killed in a drunk driving related accident and he wasn't the one that was drunk was mind-boggling. because that's what everyone just assumed. But no, he was, he was kind of toeing the straight and narrow at that point in his career. He's going to hell, Sam Kinison, that's for sure. But man, it doesn't mean we can't still love him and appreciate his work. And I can tell you, as somebody who was really into comedy back then, I've always been into stand-up comedy, but I was really into comedy back then as a young kid. I can tell you that Sam Kinison was a lightning rod of unique perspectives and a totally original approach to how a stand-up comedian works on stage. I mean, you do remember all the stand-up comedians before Sam Kinison. They stood in front of a brick wall and they wore a blazer and a shirt, or maybe the wacky ones. This is how you knew they were wacky, because they would have suspenders or something, something silly. But that's what stand-up comedians look like. Sam Kinison showed up like he was some bum sleeping in an alley, that long trench coat, pacing the stage like an animal. There's a lot of guys who have utilized a whole bunch of those techniques. Dane Cook has really utilized the prowl the way that Sam Kinison did. But the difference there is Sam Kinison's material, and this is why I say it still connects with a 14-year-old. It's just timeless. It's just stuff about human beings and the way we interact. Loss of love, dashed dreams, all of that stuff, Anyway, Sam Kinison, he's going to hell. Of course, he's going to hell. But also, one of my favorites. Can't wait there's got to be a Sam Kinison movie coming at some point. There was a rumor a couple of years ago, and I think this is amazing casting if it was true. But Sam Kinison's brother Sam is the name of the book, wrote a book called Brother Sam that was really good. And it's been in development to be a movie for years and years and years, and they just can't seem to get it together, and it goes away, and then you hear about it again. But not so long ago, I'd say within the last year, there was another story about how an individual had discovered the script for Brother Sam and was interested in playing Sam Kinison. And I thought, well, okay, I would love to see that. And you know who it is? Charlie Day. Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It wants to play Sam Kinison, or was rumored to be, someone that the producers were seeking out for the role of Sam Kinison in the Sam Kinison movie. Although at this point, I haven't heard anything about it in years, so who knows? Dead on this day in 2010, Dixie Carter. All right, so who was Dixie Carter? I don't know who Dixie Carter was. Here's what I do know. She was kind of milfy, and she played, I don't know, Sugar Baker. She played something Sugar Baker on Designing Women. Remember Designing Women? I don't really remember Designing Women. Here's what I know about Designing Women. Designing Women, I think, was on after Golden Girls. They were kind of like, made for the same audience. But I never saw Golden Girls. But I did catch some episodes of Designing Women, because as I recall, I thought Annie Potts was hot. So I would, would come on and I'd be like, all right, I'll look at Annie Potts. She's kind of funny and hot. But this Dixie Carter, she was the star of it. She played the top Sugar Baker lady. She seemed cool. She was kind of sassy. I didn't like that Delta Burke. I didn't like her. She didn't do anything for me. She was like, the one that people were like, she's hot. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't like her personality. Not my type. Let's put Dixie Carter in heaven. Why not? She didn't hurt nobody. Oh, wait, we can't. She's an actress. We can't. Oh, I hate to do that. That's right. One of the prerequisites to this is that if you're an actress and you die, you go to hell. If you're a college football coach and you die, you go to hell. Okay. If you're royalty and you die, you go to hell. If you're a politician and you die, you go to hell. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. If you're famous for being a lawyer and you die, you go to hell. There are a couple of others. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Look at us. Today's show, once again, brought to us by executive producer Darius. Thank you, Barney. Appreciate you. I should do this. If you want to support the show, and boy, oh boy, I suggest that you do, because that's how we run on your gratuities. You can do that. I'll leave that up now. Let's move into quarter 4. This is where we talk about all of the things that are happening in the world today. These are the hot topics. But first, hot topic in my yard. It seems to be raining. Hold on. Let's see. Oh, we got some trees swaying. Let's see. Nah, it's not raining. It's just blowing. The trees are just blowing. Okay. I got a tree right out this window right here that I'm looking at that's just like really getting whipped around. Oh, here come the police. Okay. How about some coffee? How we doing in the chat room? Let's see. Adam Reyna says, God, I had a crush on Dixie Carter and Delta Burke. Adam liked Delta. You didn't like Annie Potts? Really? I liked Annie Potts. She was sassy. She was the one that was kind of like had an edge to her. She was kind of a bitch. The other one, I think Delta Burke was just too much of a, I do declare it, too much of like a Scarlett O'Hara type. That didn't appeal to me. I hadn't lived in the South yet. I hadn't, been, bedazzled by the womanly charms of Southern gals. So I was still a Midwest. I wasn't drawn to the whole Scarlett O'Hara. I do declare, the helpless. I didn't like that. I didn't find her attractive either. I just wasn't into it. Dixie Carter, though, she irritated me for another reason, because Dixie Carter seemed to be like, seemed cool, but she seemed like she was trying too hard to still be young and progressive and open-minded. I don't know. There was a whole bunch about that show that it was the Clinton years, right? And that when that show like heavy, like, Clinton, and I voted for him. So I'm not saying, I'm not saying I was against it. I just don't like, sort of, Who's to say that doesn't have an audience? Not me. It's just not. I'm just not a member of that audience. All right. Barney says Delta Burke in First and 10 was hot. Yeah. I remember First and 10. That was the O.J. Simpson show. Wasn't Bruce Jenner also in that? God rest his soul. Is that how we're supposed to do it? Is he dead? Are we supposed to any reference to Bruce Jenner and an impact that he had on culture or the world before he transitioned? We supposed to act like he's dead? Bruce Jenner, God rest his soul. I don't know. I'm 50-something-year-old man. I'm just trying to keep my head above water in this crazy upside down world. All right, let's get started. These are all the hot topics, current events, and stuff that people are talking about today. Let's move on. CPI. Let's talk about CPI. That is the Consumer Price Index. And oh my God. We talk about this all the time, guys. We talk about, we always start out with some kind of, well, we don't always, but often if there's some kind of financial news, I'll give it to you. And 9 times out of 10, the financial news that I give you is about how rich people are getting so rich and it's so good to be rich right now. We're just making so much money. We're being so rich. And then I try to back off of that. And I remind you that, generic soda, a 2-liter bottle of generic soda at the Kroger has gone up in price from 79 cents a year ago to now $1.50. But hey, let's hear it for those folks on Wall Street who are just crushing it. That's what the CPI is. Consumer Price Index. This is a report about what shit is costing us. And shit is getting more and more expensive. As a matter of fact, the release of these numbers today has caused the stock market to drop 400 points. I don't know where it is now. Actually, let me see where it is now. It was 400 points this morning on the release of these new CPI numbers. Let's see if it rallied. Nope, it's still down. Okay, it's now down 554 points. And but it's okay. They'll be fine. They'll be fine. Consumer prices. That's everything that we, the middle class, pay for. See, these prices don't affect rich people. They affect us who have to buy, maybe the 14-pound bag of dog food this month instead of the 28-pound bag, Consumer prices rose 3.5% from a year ago in March. That's more than expected. The Consumer Price Index, a key inflation gauge, rose 3.5% in March, higher than expectations and marking an acceleration for inflation. Shelter and energy costs drove, so price of somewhere to live and the price of, just being mobile, two totally insignificant things in modern American life. Shelter and energy costs drove the increases. Energy rose 1.1% after increasing 2.3% in February, while shelter costs were up over the month 5.7% from a year ago. Okay. Following the report, traders pushed the first expected rate cut out to September. This according to CME Group calculations. What else do we have here? The consumer price index accelerated at a faster rate than expected in March, pushing inflation higher and likely dashing hopes that the Federal Reserve will be able to cut interest rates anytime soon. Jesus! So there you go. So, we're probably coming up here in a couple of stories. We're going to celebrate some great accomplishment in being a rich American in 2024. But let's not forget, all the shit for us is super expensive. Not for them. You know what? Actually, it probably is expensive. I mean, they're going to have to maybe give up one of their jets or one of their yachts or one of their homes or something like that. I heard something really interesting today. And, I don't like to do politics, but I heard somebody who used to be in the Biden administration, and he was complaining about something. He was complaining about President Biden going out on the stump, making speeches for re-election, and really seeming to think that the message he needs to get across is that we need to double down on our infrastructure and we need to fix the bridges and all that kind of stuff. And that is an incredibly important thing. And I wish that we were capable in this country of doing two big things at once, but we're not. We're not even capable of doing one thing at once because we can't agree on what the one thing will be. But this person said, why is he doing that? Why does Biden think that is what resonates with the people in America? Talk about inflation and what you're going to do to get a handle on the price of eggs and milk and diapers and gas and all the things. The people who are going to turn out to vote for you. Why aren't you addressing what has been strangling us since the pandemic started? There've been no relief for us. There've been a lot of people that made money after the pandemic, a lot of people that made money in the pandemic, but the rank and file American citizen, we still haven't recovered. We're still looking at higher prices, higher rents, homes aren't selling. By the way, there's like 50 homes for sale here in the rich people neighborhood, and they're all selling. Yep. Rich people homes are selling. If your house is $5 million, it'll sell. Trust me. Your house is $350 in Carrollton? No, fuck you. You're underwater. You're going to lose everything. Sorry, loser. So, really, man, let's focus on the shit that affects us. I know roads are important. Don't get me wrong. We just had the incident in Baltimore, but that's one incident. Every single time we go to the grocery store, we're reminded of how we, the American citizen, are getting bent over at every turn. And it's okay. We're not noticing it. And we're not really getting upset about how there seems to be this concerted effort to completely manipulate us at every turn. We don't care. Why? Because we hate our neighbor. Because we hate the guy who's standing in line at the Kroger in front of us because of the hat he's wearing. Or for whatever. See, that's the game. We're all being manipulated. There is a puppet master. Oh, now you sound like a QAnon guy. Well, I'm not. And this is a metaphor. But there is a class in this country that basically controls the narrative, controls what we argue about. And as long as we're arguing with each other and as long as we're not united, could you imagine if everybody who made less than $200,000 a year got together and said, hey, let's stop the bickering and let's form one giant group? Imagine that. Shit would change quick, but it doesn't because we're angry at the foreign family that just moved in down the block. What? Where are they from? Here's a fun story. I told you, I said a story or two from now, we're going to get into some things about how it's great to be a rich person in America. Did you see this story today? This is from the Wall Street Journal. Apparently, the rich are getting second passports, citing risk of instability. Yeah. It is a common practice now where rich people are becoming dual citizens of other countries. Just in case the shit hits the fan, like, I don't know, should we ever wise up and realize who is doing this to us and come for them with pitchforks and torches, they can just hop in their helicopter in their backyard, get to their private airstrip, fly in their Learjet to Cyprus or wherever the hell it is, where they will be welcomed as new citizens. Yeah. The rich are getting second passports. The wealthy are building passport portfolios, collections of second and even third or fourth citizenships in case they need to flee their home country. Oh, hey, ain't nobody more American than a rich person. All right? Fucking the rich, they don't love this country. That's the other great bamboozle. Get you all caught up in your patriotism. Send you and your kids off to war. Come home with one arm or a jacked up head because of the shit you saw. But for America, patriotism, love it or leave it, motherfucker, love it or leave it. That's the rally call. Get us all divided over who loves America more. I love America. No, I love America. And then these sons of bitches have extra passports because, you know, when you have $10 billion, everywhere is an idealized version of America. Recent high-profile examples of second citizenships include billionaire tech investors Peter Thiel, who added a citizenship in New Zealand, and former Google CEO Eric Schmidt, who has applied for citizenship in Cyprus. The top destinations for supplemental passports among the American wealthy are, okay, here's where they're all moving to. Get ready, Portugal, Malta, Greece, and Italy. Italy be nice. Greece would be nice. Greece, Italy, those would all be nice. The wealthy are building these passport portfolios, collections of second and even third and fourth citizenships in case they need to flee their home country in America. Henley and Partners, a law firm that specializes in high net worth citizens, said that Americans now outnumber every other nationality when it comes to securing alternative residences. The U.S. is still a great country, America. The U.S. is, tell that to your clients. The U.S. is still a great country. It's still an amazing passport, said Dominic Volkek, group head of private clients at Henley and Partners. But if I'm wealthy, I would like to hedge against levels of volatility and uncertainty in the country. So these MFers, they cause all the problems. They stir us all up. And then when it boils over, they just leave. We're out of here. Oh, my God. We created a monster in that Marjorie Taylor Greene. Hey, who funded her campaign anyway? It's nonsense. The U.S. is still a great country. They say it's still a great country, but yeah, I have no faith in it. I'm not going to really do any heavy lifting to try and get it back on the track. So if it just goes off, goes off the rails and explodes in some flames, I'll be in my jet on my way to Malta. Here's how easy it is. Okay. I found this interesting where I got fast forward down here. Shopping around that. Top destinations for supplemental passports among Americans are Portugal, Malta, Greece, and Italy. Here's why. Portugal has a thing called a golden visa. Can you guess what that is? Here's what Portugal will do. If you're an American and you invest $500,000 into a hedge fund that is run by the Portuguese government or whatever, come on in. You're a citizen now. It's called the Golden Visa. $500,000. So if you got $500,000 laying around in a Learjet and a helipad in your backyard, you're going to be fine once the real purge night starts. Portugal's Golden Visa program is especially popular since it provides a path to residency and citizenship with visa-free travel throughout Europe. In exchange for an investment of $500,000, that's all. Malta offers a golden visa as well. Theirs is only $300,000, and it must be invested in real estate. So if you go to Malta and you buy a $300,000 house, congratulations. You are now, you don't have to live there. You just buy that's like nothing to a rich guy, a $300,000. You are now a citizen. All right, there you go. Passport portfolios, because I'm telling you, man, they're going to abandon ship. You keep carrying water for these sons of bitches. You keep doing it. They're just going to abandon ship. What, you think they're going to fight alongside you in the trenches when this all goes to shit? They ain't. They're going to be 30,000 feet ahead of us in a Learjet screaming towards Cyprus. All right, here's another rich guy that had something bad happen to him today, but whatever. I don't even know how this is. So Trump's former CEO, this Weisselberg dude, he's been sentenced to 5 months at Rikers Island. 5 months. Apparently he was in jail before, though, like on tax evasion. And he was at Rikers. Maybe this was for the same thing. I don't know. Anyway, former CEO of Trump Inc., or whatever you call it, this Alan Weisselberg, was sentenced this morning to 5 months at Rikers Island. Let's see. Oh, Arizona. Arizona's got some crazy abortion nonsense going on. So there's this law that's been on the books in Arizona since like 1850 or something, some ridiculous law that said that, I don't know, stone to death anybody who gives an abortion or anybody that helps somebody. I'm going to read it because this is a sensitive issue and I shouldn't just be free-balling it on the hot topic of Arizona abortions in the Supreme Court's decision, the Arizona Supreme Court's. Here's what I'll read you. Arizona Supreme Court rules on near total abortion ban from 1864 is enforceable. The ruling is on hold for 14 days, and voters will likely have a chance to weigh in on a ballot measure to enshrine abortion rights in the state's constitution later this fall. The Arizona Supreme Court ruled Tuesday that a 160-year-old near total abortion ban, still on the books in the state, is in fact enforceable. This is a bombshell decision that adds the state to the growing list of places where abortion care is effectively banned. The ruling allows an 1864 law in Arizona to stand that made abortion a felony, punishable by 2 to 5 years in prison for anyone who performs one or helps a woman obtain one. Okay, so crazy 1864 law. This was made a law back when Arizona wasn't even a state. Apparently it was just a territory or something, but okay, it's still on the books. And activists, rabble-rousers, far-right, anti-choice troublemakers are utilizing this law. They've taken it all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court, shocking everyone, goes, well, yeah, I guess it's still a law, so I guess it's... But here's the problem with Arizona. Polling numbers, this doesn't poll well. This is not a number that polls well in Arizona. Arizona this is why it's going to be on the ballot, because they're like, well, just wait for it to go on the ballot. They expect it to be overwhelmingly approved. Abortion in Arizona is expected to be voted into law as a right. Okay, that's the expectation. The numbers are very big. It is just, as I like to say, a very loud, very radical, very mobilized few in the state who are really pushing this. I'll give you an example. The best example of this is we all know Carrie Lake, right? Carrie Lake, who ran for governor and she lost. She's a MAGA girl. She's one of Trump's favorites. It's kind of hot. I don't know. There's something about her. There's something about her that's kind of, I mean, look, nutty as a fruitcake, and she doesn't seem to have any integrity whatsoever. But I'm just saying, like, you know, from a woman, she's dateable. I'd be like, oh, man, I should be so lucky. She's crazy. Again, crazy. Although, you know, she used to be a news anchor, and I think we used to do a second stream at night, me and James Parker. And I believe there was one episode where we watched a YouTube car chase. There was a car chase in Los Angeles, and it was being covered live by news anchors in Arizona. And Carrie Lake was one of them. It was like Carrie Lake before she was the Carrie Lake that we know now. And she was doing like the play-by-play and commenting on this car chase as we watched. And she seemed pretty cool. She really did. And now we know different. Now she's like crazy. Anyway, here's how certain they are in Arizona that the voters are going to make sure that abortion stays legal in the state when it becomes a ballot thing in the fall. Carrie Lake, who is running for senator now, she lost the governor's job. Now she's running for senator, and she's not doing really well. She needs something. Carrie Lake is now against this law in Arizona. She thinks that this Supreme Court decision basically saying that this 1864 total abortion ban law is valid. She thinks that that's insane. She's like, no, that shouldn't be. She has basically turned. She now sees the polling numbers. She knows that women in that state are going to vote. Women in that state are going to make abortion legal. That's not even in question, really. And she's already flip-flopped. There was somebody was playing a clip of her on a an Arizona radio talk show from 6 months ago where the subject of this law was brought up, and she said, I think that's an excellent law, like 6 months ago. And now today she's out there screaming. So, you know, it is crazy that a law from 1864, before Arizona was even a state, could be applied to, in some people's views, subjugate the female population of Arizona. Hold on. Oh, Ed says it's what? Kari? Are we calling her Kari Lake? All right, well, I'm not doing that. Wait till you hear how I pronounce Kamala. I don't know. What is it? You can't. That's another bad one. Like if you pronounce if you pronounce her name wrong because, you've never heard that name before, you're a racist. That's another thing. Not true. Although, to be fair, there are racists who purposely mispronounce her name for some reason. I don't know why that is. But okay, thank you, Ed. Radio Misfits Ed. We got you. It's Kari Lake. All right, moving on. That's what's happening in Arizona. Everybody's freaking out about it, but come on, just hold your breath. It'll be fall soon, and there'll be a ballot initiative, and Arizona will be another state that has written it into their laws that you have to be able to allow abortion, regardless of what the crazy far-right people are doing. How about this one? Let's move to Michigan, another kooky state. Michigan is just Arizona with 4 seasons. That's really it. Very similar. Although I do love Michigan. Michigan got one right here. Let's talk about this. The Crumbleys. Remember the Crumbleys? The Crumbleys are the parents of Ethan Crumbley, the Oxford, Michigan school shooter. Well, that was a terrible one. This kid walked in. This kid, his dad bought him a gun for Christmas, and the kid used that gun to kill a whole bunch of his classmates. Well, in a first of its kind trial, the parents of Ethan Crumbley have been put on trial for, complicit actions or lack of actions or whatever you want. And now they've both been convicted. And now yesterday we've got these sentences. Michigan school shooters' parents have been sentenced to 10 years in prison for not stopping, and there's a quote now from the judge, a runaway train. Both parents claim that they don't know anything about him being kooky and, all that stuff. And then what could they have done? That they're hardworking people. And I understand that lament, but I also understand that I've heard that lament from parents in my own universe who I quietly judge to be absent parents. It's, well, we work. My kid's fine. I'm like, your kid's not fine. Your kid's an asshole. What do you mean your kid's fine? Look, I have no position to stand on this. My kid is a standout athlete and a straight A student. I'm proud of him. But that doesn't have anything to do with me. That has to do with, his mother is an extraordinary mother. So no problems, with her keeping an eye on him. I think that if my son was beginning to have fantasies about murdering people and drawing pictures of murdering people and being seen in class mumbling, "You're all going to die, you're all going to die," all of the things that the parents were told about with Ethan Crumbley, I like to think that, my son's mother would probably have some red flags go up and do the appropriate thing. These parents didn't do anything. He's just a kid. He's just sad. Hey, toughen up. What do you mean? Dad, I'm hearing voices. You're crazy. Just don't listen to him. Pull yourself up by the bootstrap. Whatever it was. These parents were delinquent in their duties. The first parents convicted in a U.S. mass shooting trial were sentenced to at least 10 years in prison Tuesday as Michigan judge lamented missing opportunities that could have prevented their teenage son from possessing a gun. These convictions are not about poor parenting, Oakland County Judge Cheryl Matthews said. These convictions confirm repeated acts or lack of acts that could have halted an oncoming runaway train. Jennifer and James Crumbley did not know Ethan Crumbley had a gun in school. He called it his beauty. It was in a backpack when he was dropped off at Oxford High School, but prosecutors convinced jurors that the parents still played a disastrous role in the violence. So he had this gun in his backpack. He went to school and he was kicked out of a class in the early morning for drawing a picture of somebody shooting somebody and blah, blah, blah. And then he said something about, "You're all going to pay." So the teacher kicks him out of the class and he gets sent down to the principal's office. The principal starts talking to him a little bit. The principal starts going, "Okay, something ain't right here." They immediately call both parents to come to the school. Both parents have to leave work. They show up at the school. They have a 15-minute meeting, at which point the school principal said, "I thought they were going to take him home. I thought they understood that he was being sent home for the day. And maybe the parents could spend a little time with him and figure out what's going on." This was the view of the principal. But apparently both parents, after this 15-minute meeting, both said, "We got to get back to work. You behavior, and told him to behave himself. And then they took a list of therapists in the area that was provided to them by the school that they promised to look over. And then they just went back. Whatever, this damn kid, I'm so mad at him. Can't get his shit together. He's calling me out of I had a meeting at work today. That was kind of the attitude of the parents. Well, Ethan Crumbley went back to class, and that's when he killed a whole bunch of people. Same day, a couple hours later. Now, there is an interesting conversation to be had about what level of complicity does the school have. I mean, why didn't the school completely, send him home, make sure that he was sent home, or maybe keep him if they had these concerns that were so obvious to them. They had the school, from their perspective, these concerns about this kid. Why didn't they just put him in like homeroom detention or something? No, they sent him back into Gen Pop, where this kid ended up killing some other kids. I am all for this. I think these parents of these kids, I think especially in the case when, these kids are, my 12-year-old was given an AK-47 or whatever. It's his uncle's, he rebuilt it or whatever. And these parents are like, it's hell, it's okay. All these goddamn liberals are afraid to give their kids guns. When this is the case, people got to go to jail. The parents got to go to jail because, when you make these decisions, it's a butterfly effect. In the moment, you think, oh, hell, ain't nothing going to happen. You think that, but then your kid goes to school and kills my kid. Now we got a whole thing. So I don't know. I don't get it. I am not anti-gun. I live in Texas. All my friends, this is Texas. It's a whole different kind of thing. I've evolved in my feelings about personal ownership. Evolved over my lifetime. But I don't think anybody under 16 should have a gun. I'm sorry. I know I took my 8-year-old out and we shot. I'm like, okay, I don't think I think that's irresponsible. I think at that level, an 8-year-old, and I know a lot of my friends are like, hey, I started hunting I got my first shotgun when I was 5. I'm like, okay, fine. But you're also kind of a gun fetishist, and that's a little bit weird. I have a friend who is so horny for his guns. And I'm like, this is a weird part of you that I'm very uncomfortable with. And he's like, I know. And he's just like stroking his gun. And this is a very accomplished guy. You want to see my new gun? Yes, I'll see your new gun because I know it means this much to you. Can't give a kid a gun, man. Can't give a kid a gun. You can't be an absentee parent and then think you can buy his love because he really wants a gun. Hell, I haven't talked to my boy in 5 years. I have no idea what's going on with him, but he sure wants that gun. I'm going to get him one because I feel kind of guilty. Here you go, boy. What's your name again? What grade you in? And then he goes and he kills people. Put the parents in jail. That's what I say, especially if there's this level of just complete didn't notice. The school had noticed for weeks. There were teachers' reports and, different things in the report cards. Parents did nothing. The Crumbleys, we can close the book on them. Oh, and by the way, not for nothing, do you remember they led us on a nice little manhunt? Do you remember after the shooting, the Crumbleys disappeared and they were trying to escape into Toronto and they were caught in like some back alley in Detroit at like 2 a.m? I think we did a live stream on that, the capture of the Crumbleys. Well, now we have a conclusion to that story. Oh my God. Okay, Vegas. There was a shooting in Vegas yesterday. Did you guys hear about this? A bunch of lawyers got crazy on each other. This happened, let me see. I'll give you the story. 2 people are dead. Three people are dead. 2 victims are dead. The shooter, he ended up, just killing himself at the end of it. So here's what happened. Listen to this. Oh, this is so frightening. Good Lord, this is frightening. As a guy who's been divorced a couple of times, this is so frightening. So how do I say this? Okay, so a guy and a girl are getting a divorce. Happily, not happily. A married couple going through some stuff. They have a couple of kids. They're going through a divorce. The custody is getting a little bit Both the guy and the girl who are going through the divorce each have an attorney. The girl's attorney is her new husband. the guy apparently who she was cheating on, the husband who she's now divorcing with. So you got the bride, or the woman, and her new husband, who also happens to be a divorce lawyer, and he's representing her. Now, the man in the divorce, the man who's going through the divorce, he also has an attorney. His high-powered divorce attorney, by the way, both of these guys had high-powered divorce. These were good divorce attorneys. His high-powered divorce attorney was his dad. Okay? So they all meet together in this conference room at a law firm, and it's the four of them. It's the woman and the man going through the divorce, her new husband / attorney, and his dad is his attorney. The dad of the boy, the dad of the man going through the divorce, stood up at the table during negotiations, pulled out a gun, murdered his former daughter-in-law, and then murdered her attorney right there in the conference room. Then he turned the gun on himself and he killed himself. Leaving the last man standing is the dude who was going through the divorce. He watched his dad kill his ex-wife, mother of his children, and her new husband, and then kill himself. But he got his kids. I mean, that's what I think was going on here. I think this was, incredibly personal. I think that grandpa lawyer who killed everybody, I think that grandpa probably thought that his son was going to get screwed in this custody, and goddamn, those are my grandkids, and all that stuff. I mean, that's what made it personal, and that's what made it insane. All right, so I just told you the story. I'll read you the way they actually report it. See what I got right and what I got wrong. Joe Houston, he was a Nevada lawyer. He's been identified as the gunman who shot and killed two people, fellow lawyer Dennis Prince and his wife, Ashley Prince, during a child's custody deposition in a Las Vegas law firm. Although police have not yet identified the suspect or the victims, Fox 5 Las Vegas has named Houston as the gunman and the Princes as the victims. According to Las Vegas 5, the shooting occurred during a child custody deposition at the Prince Law Group. Okay. Let's see. How did it go out? Joe Houston's son, Joe Houston is the gunman. Joe Houston's son was the ex-husband of the victim, Ashley Prince, who was married to Dennis Prince, her acting attorney. Good Lord. According to Fox 5 Vegas, Joe Houston was representing his son, Dylan Houston, during the proceedings with his former daughter-in-law, Ashley Prince. Ashley Prince, who is now married to the other victim, Dennis Prince. Okay. They have an infant child together. Dana Resnick Gentry, a journalist with the Nevada Current, wrote on X that attorney Dennis Prince is dead following a shooting in his office. Prince was killed by attorney Joe Houston following the deposition. Where is it? I want to see if there's any real details about it. Shooter is deceased. Yeah. So do you think that's the case? I mean, I think the grandpa lawyer, I think he did this for his son. I think it's crazy and I think it's monstrous and all that kind, all that stuff. But I think, try and get into the mind of a madman. I think that's what he was thinking. I think if he was thinking, I will kill her, I will kill him, then my grandkids will be with my son full time, and then I'll kill myself and whatever. Okay, I don't want to live anymore. We don't know what was going on with this dude. Anyway, what an awful story. What an awful. All right, so that's what's happening in Vegas. That's the big Vegas shooting from yesterday. Okay, so here was a story that I didn't see yesterday during the show, but I would have talked about it. This happened in Arlington. Are we following the Arlington UFO story? Is this a thing that we are all I'm a UFO guy. I love me some good UFO video. And I got to tell you, this is crazy. This is crazy good video. I don't know what this is. We live in an era where everything can be CGI and people with their phones can create really awesome fakes and deep fakes and all that. So I don't know what's what, but just let's have a little fun here. Okay. And go along with it. And let's just say this is not CGI or something. This is legitimately something that was captured. Let me see if I can find it good. The solar eclipse may have been overshadowed in Texas by a UFO soaring through the skies over Arlington. Footage captured a darkened sky as the moon traveled in the front of the sun. But it also featured the shadow of a long, narrow object shooting through the clouds. The video made waves on social media, with some proclaiming it as a close encounter of the third kind, or even a dragon. All right, yeah, cool, dragon. Let me see if I can find you the video. They always put the video at the very end. Bunch of stupid stills. I don't want to see a bunch of stills. Oh, yeah. All right. We'll use this one then. Okay. Well, I guess this will be the best we can do. Okay. They're gonna make us watch an advertisement. I hate this stuff. Wait, what? Hold on. Really? It's that quick, huh?
What's that?
Bruh.
Look, there's something flying through the air. What the was that?
All right, can you guys see this?
This is so cool.
Back up.
This is so cool.
It looks.
This is so cool. What's that?
Bruh.
Look, there's something flying through the air. What the was that? What the?
I believe it's real. I believe that whatever they are seeing, there is something there. Just because you hear voices really far away reacting to it, it's not like we're just hearing a group of 4 people pretending that they're randomly experiencing something, but they're all in on it, so they're all acting like, "Wow, look at that," and then they'll CGI it in later. No, we're hearing people like from around, far away, a crowd of people murmuring about what this is that we're looking at here over the skies of Arlington during the eclipse. Sure.
Back up.
This is so cool. What's that?
Bruh.
Look, there's something flying through the air. What the was that? What the was that?
Yo, what the?
I don't know. It's here. We'll show some still photos of it. Let's see. We'll go down a little bit. I don't know how much better these still photos are, but you can find it on Twitter. You can find it all over the place. All right. So I don't know what is this. All right. That looks like light. This thing right here, I guess. It's crazy. It's weird video. See any better pictures? Yeah, there it is again. Okay, so here it is right here. See it right there moving through the clouds. It could be a drone, right? It could be anything. Don't we have the technology to do these things now? I mean, we have things flying around all the time. Anyway, everybody's a buzz in Arlington because apparently, there you go. U2 around the time, or UFO somewhere there around the time of the eclipse. Barney's vote is going full dragon. He's saying, Al says they are saying that it's a shadow from a higher up commercial jet. I believe in UAPs. Yeah, that is exactly what they want you to believe. There ain't no shadow from a higher. That's not something we've ever seen happen before. If that was a thing that was common and that happened, that higher up jets cast shadows on clouds, we'd all be like, I saw a UFO today. And no, it's not a thing. That's hold on, my eyes are burning for some reason. All right, moving on. Senate candidate in Wisconsin. This guy's fun. Senate candidate in Wisconsin, Republican Eric Hovde. He's 60 years old. Here's what he's running on. Tell me if you think this will work. He said, we had nursing homes in the last election where the sheriff of Racine investigated, where you had 100% voting in a nursing home. Well, if you're in a nursing home, you only have about 5 or 6 months to live, he said. Almost nobody in a nursing home is in a position to vote. According to factcheck.org, voter turnout from nursing homes in Wisconsin in the 2022 election was actually nowhere near 100%, like Mr. Hovde claimed, and was not out of the ordinary. Instead, turnout in nursing homes in Milwaukee County was actually around 76%. So do you get what this guy is saying? He is running for senator in Wisconsin. And one of the big things that bothers him is he doesn't think old people in nursing homes should be allowed to vote anymore because they're going to be dead soon. Man, we are in a different era of politics where this guy's just out there on a radio show going, what do they got? 5 or 6 months? They shouldn't be able to vote. And, and he's trying to, again, he's one of these politicians who's trying to say that they had 100% voter turnout. No, they didn't. Actually, that's not true because there's an adjoining story to this that gives you a little more background. I clicked on it and there was actually one nursing home in Wisconsin that did, in fact, in the 2020 election, had 100% voter turnout, but they only had 4 people in the nursing home and all 4 voted. So that is true. But it's just people like, see, again, trying to divide. What is he trying to do? Make us mad at old people? Is this the new thing? Hey, let's go kick some old people in the face. Let's go burn down the nursing homes because they're all voting for Biden. No, they're not. Or whatever his complaint is. But apparently he didn't like that there was solid voter turnout at nursing homes. And I will tell you this, here's why there is solid voter turnout at nursing homes, because everybody's there. You know where everybody is, and they just pull the bus up in front. And these people, they may not even want to vote, but they want to go for a ride. They're like dogs. A dog doesn't care where you're going. Same with an old person in a nursing home. You pull that bus up, they're like, where are we going? And they'll get in it. Just because, it's a thing. And then they find themselves voting. That's why a lot of people in nursing homes vote. Well, they shouldn't have buses. Well, you should make them walk. What do they got buses for? Well, nursing homes have buses for everything. Because, again, these old people don't drive themselves. And they're not prisoners, asshole. They can go out if they want. And maybe it's part of their monthly fee or dues or however those things work, where they get access to, group shuttles and stuff. But anyway, yeah, he doesn't want old people to vote anymore in nursing homes because they're going to be dead soon. So is your campaign, dude. I'm telling you, that is like one of the worst takes I've ever heard. All right, here's some news. Let's take a little time here because these numbers were released yesterday. These are fascinating numbers. We talked a lot about, I'm pretty on record insofar as my feelings about women's basketball. I don't find it particularly compelling. I'm sure it's competitive. I mean, water seeks its own level, right? I can go to a Pee Wee football game and I can watch a competitive game, but I don't know on Super Bowl Sunday that I want to watch a bunch of 9-year-olds play. I want to watch, full top tier NFL football. So I'm just not drawn to the action or the style of women's basketball simply because I've been conditioned to expect it to look like the men's game. Doesn't mean that women should. Why shouldn't women be allowed to play? No, they should be allowed to play basketball. But, I don't know that we need to herald them to the same level that we do people like Moran or LeBron James. I mean, they're not drawing 19, 20, 22,000 people a night to sold out stadiums. They're not. They're just not. The WNBA is being subsidized by the NBA. Because it looks good. See, look, we're giving women a chance. They shouldn't be playing in the stadiums they're playing. And this has been my big problem with the WNBA for years. They're playing in stadiums that are too big. They should be playing in field houses. They should be playing to packed gymnasiums of 15 to 2,000 people. 1,500 to 2,000, but they don't. Because they're being forced as an equal to the NBA when they're just simply not in earning power, not in drawing power, not in any of the economic indicators that make the NBA a league where you make $30,000 at 18 years old or $30 million at 18 years old, whatever. That's the reason. However, it does need to be said, and this is very interesting. So the NCAA tournaments for both the men's and the women are in the books now. And this was a very exciting tournament from the women's side because they had a superstar. They had a breakout superstar in Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark this, Caitlin Clark that, Caitlin Clark, Caitlin Clark, Caitlin Clark. So the final numbers are in for the championship game, the title game, and the women numbers, television numbers, beat the snot out of the men's numbers. Wasn't even close. The men, now, 2 weeks ago, if you had proposed to me that the women's championship game was going to do a bigger number on TV than the men's NCAA title game, I'd said you were crazy. I would have said you were not, let alone by almost 4.5 million people, 4.7 million more people watched Caitlin Clark and LSU, or not LSU. It was Iowa and I don't even care. Doesn't matter. See, I don't even care. 4.7 million more people tuned in for that. Women drew 18.7 million viewers to their title game. The men drew 14 million. Now there's also a whole bunch of, qualifiers here that you're seeing people say. One that needs to be considered is the fact that the women's game was on a Sunday on ABC, a network that is free over the air to every TV. If you got a TV, you can put it on. That's what ABC is. The men's game was on like TBS or TNT, some hybrid between the two of them or something, which is a cable. You have to have a cable subscription. So right there, you're starting from, behind. And the other thing is just simply this. This is not, I think it's wonderful. Let me just say this. That's great, man. That is so cool for them. It's good that they had this run with this breakout star that the entire country got bedazzled by in Caitlin Clark. That's why people were tuning in. People were tuning in to watch Caitlin Clark. Is there going to be a Caitlin Clark next year that is going to, draw us all in again? I don't know. I don't think so. This year's tournament for the women was an anomaly because of the hype machine behind Caitlin Clark that turned her into a household name. Still, it's a terrific thing for the women. You don't want to take it away from them. But, I think next year it's going to go back to the men outdrawing the women by probably about $10 million, regardless of what platform the game is being streamed on. But hey, good. Here, I heard an interesting thing about Caitlin Clark that I thought was, wow. I guess that's really a possibility. So NIL, we live in the era of the NIL where college players are able to earn endorsements and advertising money and all that kind of stuff. And some of these guys and girls are becoming very wealthy. By the time they leave college, they've already got a couple of $1 million in the bank and no student loans because they're probably on scholarship. So that's a pretty good way to start. There was a conversation or something that I was reading. I don't remember who it was, but they suggested that Caitlin Clark, I guess she's still got a year of eligibility, that Caitlin Clark should actually stay in college instead of going to the WNBA. Because if she stays in college, her NIL money, the money that she'll be able to make as Caitlin Clark of Iowa, trying to, run it back, if you will, could make far more money than she would in the WNBA, unless there's some precedent-setting contract that's going to be given to her in the WNBA. But I don't think so. And that really does make sense because how much of it doesn't she need to strike now? Doesn't she need to make as much money as she possibly can? I mean, to say nothing about injury or any of the things that could befall any great young athlete that would cut their earning potential short, but also it's WNBA. I mean, I don't know if like in 4 years, she's still going to be able to make the kind of money that she could make if she went back one more year in college and just took another year of NIL money. She's made millions. She's made millions and millions in NIL money. I don't know. Those dummies don't know how it works, says Adam. I'm gonna just let him call me dummy. Those dummies don't know how it works. She will still get her endorsement money if she's in the WNBA. No, that's the argument. That is not. The argument is that the platform, the spotlight that she is given by playing college at Iowa is far larger now than any WNBA team. There is just a passing interest in WNBA teams. This Iowa thing, her at Iowa, this was a phenomenon. So no, I mean, I disagree with you on that, Adam. I think that she could go into the WNBA and never be heard from again. Never. Oh, she's up there playing with the Portland Clouds and, playing at, West Coast time on. I don't know. I think that there's a very real opportunity here for that. She's probably considered. I mean, it's not possible that she hasn't, seen the future and she knows what she's doing. She's got to be able to take advantage of this now, is my point. And if her earning power is bigger to return one more year to college where she can make, where she could be the face of NCAA women's college basketball for another whole season. And boy, will they push her next season because of these numbers here. She can go to the WNBA the year after that. I don't know. It's just, it's money, man. Money talks. Anyway, there you have it. The women outdrew the men for the first time. I would have never thought that possible, but good for them. All right, what else do we got here? Dun, 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 dun. Ozempic. All right, so any of you people on Ozempic? Any of you people just, jamming some strange needle into your arm with absolutely no concern of what you're putting in there? It's funny how we're selective in that way, right? You say, wait, it'll make me not fat anymore? I don't care. Just pump that toxin into me. Well, it hasn't gone through the proper testing. I don't care. When it's a worldwide pandemic, then all of a sudden everybody's microbiologists. Everybody's like, no, I've got to see the test runs and the trials on this. I need to see at least 4 years of European studies before I will put this vaccine in me. But Ozempic, the whole freaking country is like, pump it in my veins. Come on. I know a couple people that Ozempic worked for. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying, what is it? I'm just saying, I don't know. I don't have any clue what that is. I ain't taking no Ozempic. I'll start running again, and I'll eat salads. And then I'll still be fat, but, what are you going to do? Turns out, here we are a couple of years into the Ozempic craze, and people are dropping dead. Why are all these star young athletes dropping dead? Why hundreds and hundreds of people in their prime just... Remember that? Remember they were saying that? They're covering it up. 15 of the top 50 NCAA stars have all died this year, and nobody will tell you. Some of you idiots out there sharing that kind of nonsense. That all stopped, by the way, right? So nobody's dead now. People still ain't dying every couple of weeks from getting the jab. You morons. Why don't you go get your Ozempic? More than 100 U.S. deaths. Oh boy, I'm going to try and say that one again. More than 100 U.S. deaths have been linked to Ozempic and similar weight loss drugs, including a 28-year-old who died from intestinal mass and a pregnant woman. Yeah, but were they vaxxed? Is that it? Yeah, let's cross-reference that. How many of these 100 dead Ozempic people, how many of them were also vaxxed? Doc, go ahead. Give me another shot. It's a shot, right? It's a shot. 100 people in the U.S. have died of Ozempic. I don't know if that's a lot. I think it's way more than prime athletes who drop dead from getting the jab, but okay. I'm still waiting. I got all my jabs, and I had going into this a heart issue. I love too much. All right, moving on. Let's see here. Polish party priest, we're going to call this next story. This comes out of, you guessed it, Poland. Listen to this story. All right, so this is fun. I'm a Catholic. That's why this is fun to me, because I've seen drunk priests. I've seen priests hitting on girls. I've seen priests chain smoking and double-fisted drinking. I've seen priests when priests were, being priests, being guys. Here you go. This comes to us from Warsaw, Poland. A priest has been jailed after a man collapsed from taking too many erectile drugs at the priest's sex party. Yeah! Priests get down, man. Priests in private, they get down. A Polish priest has been sentenced to 18 months in jail for sex and drug crimes after a man collapsed during an orgy at his home. According to Polish media, the victim had taken too many erectile dysfunction pills. An ambulance was called, but when paramedics arrived, they were refused entry and were only able to administer aid after the police showed up. The priest, who's been referred to as Tomasz Z, was sentenced for sexual offenses, supplying drugs, and failing to provide assistance to a person in danger of loss of life. He was also ordered to pay the victims $3,000 in damage. I guess that's the American equivalent, like $3,000 in damage and several thousand zlotys. Is that Polish money? The trial took place behind closed doors. State news agency PAP reported, adding that sources had indicated there would not be an appeal. The diocese of Southwest Poland has been engulfed in scandal since reports of the sex party in the town of Dubrovra emerged in 2023. All right, so let's just move on. So, okay, so a priest has a big crazy sex orgy. Dude takes too many Viagras or Cialises or whatever the Polish equivalent of it is. There's a joke. All right, there's a joke there. What's Polish Viagra? All right, work on a chat room. So he has this party. Dude dies because he takes too much ED. The ambulance shows up, and the priest is like, "No, you can't come in because probably too many embarrassing sex things." So then the police show up, and finally they barge their way in to try and save the guy's life. That's one of the charges that the priest has, that he wouldn't let the ambulance in, that he wouldn't let them, take care of stuff. And the guy ended up dying. But here's my point. There's no way this is the first sex orgy. No way. This doesn't happen the first time. This never happens the first time. Whenever people get in these situations and they're like, well, I don't know, I've never done it before. That is not the case. This dude probably had weekly sex parties. This is the one where a guy died. There you have it. Polish party priest. We're going to call that guy. All right, here's a story. This is, where does this come from? Actually, that's not where it came from. This is where I got the backstory from. Matt Lauer. Let's talk about Matt Lauer. You guys remember that name? The name Matt Lauer? Matt Lauer is giving interviews, and he's coming out of the shadows, and he's basically saying that I'm back, and you people owe me an apology. That's what he's saying. He's saying, you people owe me an apology. Now, there's been no change in the case. He's just, adamant that he's owed an apology for the way that his career was absolutely torpedoed. And, I bet you my 14-year-old has no idea who Matt Lauer is. I bet I say, Matt Lauer is? He'd be like, who? He doesn't know. That's how long Matt Lauer's been gone. But Matt Lauer was a big name. He was a superstar. Today Show, NBC News, all the ladies loved him. Apparently not one, but a lot of them did. So here's the Matt Lauer story. Back during the Sochi Olympics, remember the Sochi Olympics? During the Sochi Olympics over there in Russia, right? When they're Russia, he was staying in a hotel, and his producer was there with him, and he got drunk with his producer in the bar, and he took her back up to his room, and he ended up having anal sex with her. Her name is Brooke Nevins. Brooke Nevins is the former NBC producer and budding on-air talent or whatever. She again, that's the story that nobody denies, that she was there in Sochi with Matt Lauer, married Matt Lauer, so he's a cheat, right? He's cheating on his wife of like 20 years with some young producer. So they hang out in the bar, and I know how this goes. When you are traveling for work, you tend to go to dinner with the people you work with, and then somebody leaves, and then maybe it's just a couple of you, and what do? You go to the hotel bar, and you get shit-faced, and then you go upstairs, and you sleep. I've been there. Now, I've been in that situation, but I was never Matt Lauer. So I imagine Matt Lauer has a bit of a voodoo spell over a lot of the young women who worked at NBC. I bet it was pretty cool to be drinking with Matt Lauer. I bet you this Brooke Nevins thought, something cool about it. It's undeniable. He was a big celebrity, and look at you. You're drinking, you're partying with him. So they go up to the room, and they have anal sex. And I don't know why I'm making a point to say that, but the stories all seem to make that a very important aspect of this telling, that it was anal sex. Brooke Nevins says that, I'm going to read you exactly. Details of the encounter revealed in Ronan Farrow's book claim that Lauer anally raped Nevins in his hotel room during the 2014 Winter Olympics in Sochi, Russia. According to Brooke Nevins, the advance was unwanted and non-consensual because, and here's her excuse, she was too drunk at the time. That's troubling. It's troubling. Matt Lauer put a move on a drunk girl, and I wasn't there. I don't know. Did she say no? I mean, I think that when you hear the story that he anally raped her, the use of those words, when you use that, we draw in our mind an image of this monster, this Matt Lauer, you bitch, banging her head into the wall, and she's crying, and she's like, no, please stop it. And he's, if you tell anybody, that's the image that I think we all go to. But I think it's much different than that. I think that there is a very complicated set of circumstances that probably led to this. I think that the excuse, I'm sorry, I don't think it's an excuse for a woman anymore to be able to say, I was drunk. Well, unless you were passed out. I mean, were you like drunk, like you were passed out and he dragged you into the room, undressed you, and then had sex with your lifeless body? Because that's a thing. That's a real problem. That is rape. That is not good. Or were you just drunk and not thinking right, and that's why he should have known better than make these advances? I don't know. My thing is this. It turns out that he was a bit of a swordsman. So, he got around and he was cheating on his wife a lot. And so Matt Lauer wasn't the nice guy next door, I believe, that we all were treated to on the Today Show for all those years. But I also don't think he's a monstrous rapist. I think he's a player. I think he's a good-looking guy with status, and I think he used that for years and years to have sex with basically anybody he wanted, whether they worked there or not. Do I think Matt Lauer had to rape anybody? I don't think so. I just think it's different. I think I think that Matt Lauer may have used his position of power to, lure women into his bed that he worked? Maybe, but I don't know. That's not what they're saying here. What they're saying here is that he, back at the Sochi Olympics, raped her. She didn't want it. And the reason, again, I'm going to read it to you from the Ronan Farrow book. According to Neville's, the advance was unwanted and non-consensual because it couldn't have been consensual because she was too drunk. What is too drunk? Now we have to parse that. He's not a good guy, but I'm just trying to say I don't think he's a danger to society. Oh, Jesus. No, I don't want to read what Adam has to say because he doesn't do nuance in these things. Although maybe not. Adam says, drunk people cannot consent. Legally speaking, goes for sex too. You have to be a better man. I've turned down many opportunities because I can't do that. Hell, as an Uber driver, it happens a lot. I used to do it when I was single and also drunk, but it's effed up to hook up with a drunk girl. Okay, and I disagree. I think you are making women into these, targets, these victims, these helpless little creatures that, we as men, it is now incumbent upon them to say, young lady, you should not be drinking because you're having a little bit. No, don't give her any more. Don't give her any more. She is getting way too drunk. Come on, we're all grown-ups. Women should be able to take some responsibility here. If you get way too drunk and end up still hanging out with that guy, man, I always go back to this girl, a friend of, I don't want to say her name. Well, we're at this bar and she meets some guys and she comes up and she goes, okay, I don't need a ride home. We're like, why? And she's like, because we're going to Houston to see Aerosmith. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, we're getting in the car. And these guys were all drunk and they were total strangers. And she just got in the car and went with them. And I'm like, that chick needs to show a little bit better. I mean, my God. Nothing happened, of course, except she met some jerks. She was like, they were assholes. Well, whatever. You ended up stuck in Houston with them. But I mean, if something had happened, at what point does a voice in the crowd like mine saying, she shouldn't have gone and I told her not to go. And as a matter of fact, there were a whole bunch of us telling her not to go, but she went anyway. She made her decision. Yes, of course, men have to be better, Adam says. That doesn't change. We all have to be better, but just to negate any level of personal responsibility on the part of the women, I think is also unfair. And you're also being the white knight, the big man coming in. I'm going to say, hey, she's had enough, man. She's had enough to drink. Well, she is a grown-up. She chose to have that. She chose to drink that much. That's enough for you, little lady. I'm the man. I know what you... I don't agree with that. She went out. She got shit-faced with Matt Lauer. She ended up in his hotel room. Did he carry her into the hotel room? I don't know. If he did, then that's a problem. But if she willingly went with him after drinking with him, and I have to imagine there was some degree of flirtation, And then, I mean, look, the reason that it's so upsetting is because of the free use of anal sex. Like, we needed to know that. Like, we need to know the particular. Matt Lauer himself, though, he is talking now. He says it was completely consensual. There was absolutely no, and I kind of believe him. I kind of believe it was consensual, and I believe that she didn't like what happened. And then, in the afterthought, it was middle of the Me Too, and they got him. They got him. He wasn't the first to be Me Too'd. He got caught up in all of that. And I'm not defending him. He seems like he's been revealed to be kind of a snaky D-bag guy. But again, this idea that he should never be able to work again and that every time he walks into a room, we should all be like, rapist. That's not fair either. Matt Lauer is planning a comeback years after he was fired from NBC amid allegations of sexual misconduct. He started to talk to people, a source tells Us Weekly, exclusively on the morning show. He's planning his next act, still very upset with how he was portrayed, and still feels like he was the victim. So let's, instead of just succumbing to our programming, which is after we read that, we go, oh yeah, he's the victim. That's the program. No, let's really think about that. And let's try and understand from his perspective why he might feel that way. Oh, you don't want to do that? You don't want to do the nuance of the situation? Okay, that's fine. But in order to fully understand and to have a completely reasonable and honest opinion of what happened, we have to do that. I can totally see how from a guy who women never say no to, and he took him up to his room and she was thrilled to be with them and, all of that stuff. James Parker wants me to do 4:30 today. All right. I can do that, James Parker. 4:30 today on WBAP. Happily. Hold on. 4:30 today, James Parker. He's the host over there at 93.3 FM WBAP and here in Dallas. Yep. Okay, there you go. And we are good. Okay, so Matt Lauer is angry. I think there's an avenue for him to be angry. I really do. He's already been canceled. He's already lost the NBC thing. So if he wants to do a digital thing where, he's like, hey, she wanted it. Or, God. What do you mean she wanted it? Women don't want it. Women aren't sexual beings. It's just men who are driven entirely by their sexual libido. Amid a slew of other high-profile men implicated in the Me Too movement, the former Today Show host made headlines in November of 2017 after a female colleague accused him of inappropriate behavior. Journalist Ronan Farrow published details about the alleged assault in his book, Catch and Kill. Lauer has denied all the accusations against him. He went from being the biggest guy out there, and now every headline attached to him is disgraced Matt Lauer. It's very painful for him to go out there with his girlfriend. He's very thin-skinned. Don't expect an apology from Matt Lauer. He's the one who feels he is owed an apology. I completely get why he feels that way, because if he is 100% committed to the idea that I was there, I was involved in it, I know how it went down, I am not a rapist, then he should feel that way. He should feel that way if that is in fact his. But if you're just willing to believe that every man who's accused of something is the bad guy and the aggressor, and you're not willing to really look at the situation and kind of parse all the different details, then yeah, you're going to think he's a bad guy forever. There are a lot of bad guys out there, and we got to catch them. But the ones that are like, really, this is why he loses his career? Because he cheated on his wife. Okay, if you tell me it's because he cheated on his wife and now we're no longer going to abide that kind of behavior among our celebrities, okay, that's fine. He's disgraced. He's not a good family man. NBC can't support that. That's the path they wanted to take. But no, they took this path where I can't believe we've had a rapist living among us. And oh, the money that rapist made for us. Oh, and now they're all shocked and appalled. Let's see here. Lauer continues to make headlines years after news of his scandal first broke. Most recently, he and his girlfriend, Shaman Albis, attended Don Lemon's New York City wedding. Hey, Sugar Don Lemon got married. He's got, by the way, Matt Lauer now has a girlfriend. He's got this girl. He's apparently been with her for a couple of years. He got a girlfriend because during the whole revelation of him being, a predator and all that stuff, his wife left him. His wife of like 20 years was like, well, I don't want to be married to you anymore. And I'm going to get out of here. You've just lost all your money, so I'll take half of what you got now. And we're going to move on. Prior to his relationship with the boss, the former TV host was married to Anna Roque. She's married for more than 20 years before they split after Lauer's scandal in 2017. They share 3 children, a couple of boys and a girl, I think. Where are his quotes? In terms of what's next, The Insider tells us that Lauer is focused on building the foundation for a comeback and adds, The Insider, he's not going off into the sunset. Well, kind of has, though, for like the last 6 years. Kind of disappeared off into the sunset. I don't know. Hey, look, we live in an era where, guys like Andrew Tate thrive. So go ahead. Yeah, yes, he was canceled off of mainstream broadcast terrestrial delivered television. How will he ever survive? I mean, okay. What else do we have here? So you guys see this Gene Hackman story? Is anybody else mad about the Gene Hackman story? Gene Hackman was trending yesterday because somebody found a picture of him in the New York Post. Here, let's throw the New York Post under the bus. What do you say? Here, I'll get these pictures up. Now, the thing that I was most taken aback by in this story is what Gene Hackman looks like now. He's like 94 years old or something like that. If you see him here, look at him. This is Gene Hackman now. Ladies and gentlemen, look at that handsome son of a bitch. Wait, I'm not sharing it yet. Now I am. There he is. Look at him. Would you recognize that as Gene Hackman? It looks like he's at a gas station. If that dude walked into the racetrack, right behind you, would you be like, oh man, I saw Gene Hackman? I would never recognize him as Gene Hackman. Anyway, let's take a look at Gene Hackman here because he was trending yesterday because he started to go viral after the New York Post. I like to call out bullshit journalism. It's all they're trying to do. They're just trying to make us think and feel a certain way with every headline. There is no great master plan where it's all being driven in one direction or the other, but they are trying with each and every story to manipulate us. And if they have to be, they have to use dubious, measures to do it, they will. They absolutely will. So what was the New York Post trying to do with their headline from yesterday that caused Gene Hackman to go viral? The New York Post was trying to embarrass Gene Hackman as an old man. They were trying to be like, oh, look how sad it is. That's the reaction that they wanted from readers when they looked at old, unrecognizable Gene Hackman and then learned that the New York Post was saying, Gene Hackman seen out for the second time in weeks wearing the exact same outfit. Now, with all the context clues there, he's an old man. We haven't seen him for a while. What is the New York Post trying to do with that headline? They're trying to make us go, oh, Gene Hackman's obviously the crazy, doting old man who wears the same dirty clothes. But that's not the truth at all. This is their example. So here, New York, I'll read the story about it. New York Post has been called out over misleading rare photos of 94-year-old Gene Hackman mocking his outfits. The New York Post took a beating on social media after posting rare photos of retired actor Gene Hackman, 94, which mocked his similar outfits. It says here, so the Post showed us these pictures and they're like, look, Gene Hackman was seen out twice in the last 2 weeks wearing the exact same outfit. Stupid old man. Right? It's mean, or it's trying to manipulate from us or whatever, but it's not true. They show it like this. They show us these two pictures. So we're supposed to go, oh, this one must be today. And that must be the one from 2 weeks that they're talking about. No, that's not the case at all. Both of the pictures that the New York Post showed as an example of how he wears the same clothes every day were from the same day. These pictures are from the exact same day, but the headline said, Gene Hackman wears the same clothes 2 weeks in a row. That's some bullshit. Now, is there any truth to it whatsoever? Was there a picture maybe from a few weeks ago where Gene Hackman appeared to be, wearing some strange clothes, similar clothes? Well, let's see. Let's see. Because here are the pictures. Yes, we found the pictures from a couple weeks ago of Gene Hackman wearing the exact same outfit. Here it is. All right, we'll bring that up for you. Oh, for crying out loud. Really? You're going to show me a commercial? Yeah, we'll do that one. That's fine. So here he is. Here he is wearing the exact same outfit. This is the picture that they couldn't sell. They couldn't show you this picture because it would, with the headline, Gene Hackman wears the same outfit. They couldn't show you this picture from 2 weeks ago because he's not wearing the same outfit. He's wearing the same hat and he's wearing the same vest. He was wearing a different shirt. He was wearing different pants. He was even wearing different shoes, it was pointed out. But the New York Post decided to make fun of an old man for absolutely no reason because they're a piece of shit news organization. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Making fun of Gene Hackman. Don't fuck with Gene Hackman, okay? Let's just let Gene Hackman do whatever Gene Hackman's going to do for the rest of the time he's got. He's out there. He's got a hot young wife, and by young, she looks to be like 65. He's out there. He's walking. He's doing things. He's at the we saw him at the gas station, 94 years old. Is he driving? Good for him. Gene Hackman's still out there. I will not cotton anybody being mean to Gene Hackman. All right. And lastly, this will be the last one for today. A new trailer has been released for Joker 2. Should we watch it? You want to watch it? New trailer for Joker 2? All right, let's see. We'll watch it and then I'll give you I've already seen it. I've already got my hot takes loaded up and ready to go. Oh, there we go. All right. Now, the Joker movie, we're talking about Todd Phillips. Is that Todd Phillips directed, and Joaquin Phoenix, of course, the star of it. Big surprise hit. I don't know. I guess to me, I was surprised that it was so well received critically. Full disclosure, I think the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix is one of the most overrated films of my lifetime. I liked it. It was fine. I liked it better when it was called King of Comedy. It's like the King of Comedy is the better Joker film, but okay, whatever. It was fine. It was okay. I think it was trying too hard to be artistic and is trying too hard to be, we are a critically credible version of the DC universe. I thought they were just trying too hard, which kind of bothered me. But it was a fine movie. Only seen it once. That's an indication of, because a movie like that, like if I really like a movie and it's been out now for like 5 years or so, or however long it's been since the Joker, I will have seen it at least another time. See it in the theaters, and you see it when it comes out. I've never had a real desire to see it again. So now we got a Joker 2. It wasn't supposed to be a sequel to the Joker. It was supposed to be a single standalone story, but hey, why not? Because seemed to do a lot better than anyone had anticipated. So now the Joker's going to be a franchise. This version, the trailer was dropped today for a Joker 2, whatever. Now it's got some fancy French word. Joker 2 stars Joaquin Phoenix again as the Joker. And are you ready? Guess who plays Harley Quinn? Guess who the new Harley Quinn is? Lady Gaga. That's right. Lady Gaga. Let's watch this. Here it is. This is just dropped this morning, the new trailer for the Joker 2 movie, and I have thoughts.
Let's go, boys. It's showtime. Wakey, wakey.
Hey, Fleck, you got a joke for us today?
We use music to make us whole, to balance the fractures within ourselves.
I'm nobody. I haven't done anything with my life like you have.
What's changed, Arthur? I'll tell you what's changed. I'm not alone anymore. That's what we should be talking about.
I want to see the real you.
All right, there you go. First of all, I will not change the way I pronounce Lady Gaga. I happen to enjoy pronouncing it as Lady Gaga. You can go ahead and submit to the programming and call her Lady Gaga. I will continue calling her Lady Gaga because it brings me joy. All right, there you have it. That's Joker 2. God, does that look lame? I am so sorry. It just not so artsy. It's about the depth inside the joke. No, thank you. I don't want any of that bullshit. Here's another thing that you may not be aware of and you may not be prepared for. So I'm going to tell you now before you go into the theater and then storm out halfway through screaming, "Nobody told me this was a musical." 15 song and dance numbers. That's right. 15 original song and or dance numbers in the Joker. It is essentially a musical, like a bad musical. No, thank you. Get out of here, man. Get out of here with that bullshit. Jokers singing and dancing. Ugh. God, does that look pretentious? God, does that look a bore? April doesn't enjoy the way I say Gaga. Well, I'm sorry. Let's see. Adam says, "Man, I can't wait to not watch that." Yeah. Although, but Adam calls it incel bullshit. Is that the rap on it? Is like a clarion call for like the incel movement? Is that because I can totally see it now that you brought it up, but I've never heard that. I just think it's Joker. I think that, this isn't really a new thing with the Joaquin Phoenix version of Joker. I think, people who have always been drawn to the Joker are a little bit weird. The Heath Ledger Joker people were weird. We forget about that. They were kind of weird. April says, "I love musicals and Lady Gaga, but I do not know about that depressing nonsense." I know, right? Have you guys ever seen The King of Comedy? I mean, that's the basis of the original Joker movie. They went, remember King of Comedy? Let's kind of do that, but with the Joker playing the role of Rupert Pupkin. One of my favorite De Niro roles, King of Comedy, plays Rupert Pupkin, a struggling stand-up comedian who basically takes Johnny Carson hostage. Except it's not Johnny Carson, it's Jerry Langford, and it's not played by Johnny Carson, it's played by Jerry Lewis. King of Comedy is amazing. So much better than the Joker. I just don't want to see I'm fine with the first one being what it was. The second one looks dumb. I don't like musicals. I do not like musicals, except the ones that I like. Isn't that a weird contradiction? I know. There are a couple. For instance, La La Land. I love that movie. I've seen that movie like 3 times. That's a fun movie. Remember La La Land? Emma Stone, the Gosling. That's a fun movie. But that's it. Grease. I don't want to watch Grease. I certainly don't want to watch any musicals from the 60s. Come on, Pugs. Let's watch 7 Brides for 7 Brothers. No, I don't think so. Is Saturday Night Fever a musical? I'm going to say it is. And I'm thusly going to call it the greatest musical ever made. There you go. Saturday Night Fever. Or does a musical have to have people singing dialogue? Like, is that the rule? Because if that's the rule, I get it. Then Saturday Night Live or Saturday Night Fever isn't a musical, but it's a music-driven film. I'm trying to think, are there any musicals that I can handle? La La Land. There you go, April. How you like that? La La Land. That movie. That's like the only musical I think I ever watched, and I liked it. Hamilton. Oh, that's true. I started to watch. Remember when Hamilton debuted on Apple? I got it right away, and I started watching it, knowing full well that I do not like musicals. But I got into Hamilton. I did. I fell victim to it. I'm like, well, what the hell? Hold on. Hold on. I just had my alert go off. There's a scanner thing happening. Huh. All right, I don't know if this is going to turn into anything, but breaking off my scanner.
All right, Sanford Barn News units on location. Everything appears to be under control. Just a large amount of kids trying to get police attention, but it's under control. That's why I'm going to come up here. All right.
All right, never mind. So that's not going to be anything big. Multiple people shot in Parkside, Philadelphia. 4 suspects are in custody.
Sanford.
Yeah, turn on 7704 from Isaac 9. You want us back in the area. 22nd, Cambridge.
All right, we don't need to listen to that. There you go. That is probably not going to. Just crime. Just everyday crime. Adam says, I'm watching Girl from the North Country this Sunday. I don't know what that is. Todd Phillips made Road Trip. Dude's not some sensitive artist type. He's a weirdo. Yeah. No, I never saw Road Trip. All I saw, I guess, was Joker. Okay. So I'm watch Girl from the North Country this Sunday. It's based on the songs of Bob Dylan. Looking forward to it. All right. Bob Dylan's somebody. Bob Dylan is a guy that I have tried so many times to get into. And I feel like it's something on my end that I'm just never going to gravitate. I love the stories of Dylan. Like I love the legacy of Dylan, and I love, the influence, and I love, the things that he said and done. But as far as his music goes, I've never really been a big Bob Dylan fan. I just can't get into it. One other thing that I do want to mention. 2 shows ended recently, shows that I've been watching, and one of them, Curb Your Enthusiasm, just an all-timer of mine. I love Larry David. He's just such a piece of garbage. I thought that this season of Curb Your Enthusiasm, the final season, the season in which Richard Lewis died, it was very sad. But Richard Lewis was in every episode all the way up to the final episode, so that's good. It's nice that they finished filming before he passed on. I thought this was a very good season of Curb Your Enthusiasm. I thought there were certain episodes that were hysterical. However, the finale, and this might be a Larry David thing, I thought the finale was subpar. I completely understand. I don't know if you saw the series finale of Curb Your Enthusiasm that aired on Sunday night, but Larry David, what is the other series that Larry David did? Seinfeld. And what is like the thing that is most heavily criticized about Seinfeld? The finale. Larry David wrote the finale of Seinfeld, and he's never lived it down. And people are like, that was a terrible finale. So here he had Larry David another crack at it, and he was going to do a finale for his show, Curb Your Enthusiasm. And what did he do? He just did a parallel of the Seinfeld, the final Seinfeld episode. The final Curb episode was just like the final Seinfeld episode. I mean, and they were doing nods and there were Easter eggs to it and all that kind of stuff. But it also wasn't good. It was just kind of petered out of gas, but that's okay. Because Curb Your Enthusiasm, pound for pound, over 20-something years, is easily a top 3 funniest show, in my opinion, in television. The other thing that I wanted to mention real quickly before we get out of here is the HBO or the Max show, whatever. I don't know what they're called. Do they make a distinction between the two? I know they don't call it HBO Max anymore. I know it's just Max. But then there's also an HBO that has the same stuff. I don't know. I don't understand. The Kate Winslet show, The Regime, which I was really hot on for the first 3 episodes or so. And then I said, I'm going to stop watching it for a while so that I can binge watch like 3 and then get all caught up. The Regime was Kate Winslet's new miniseries that was on HBO. It aired every Sunday night. It is the story of a Central European dictator. She plays an authoritarian dictator who's a little bit crazy, and it's basically just a look at what, day-to-day life is if you're a dictator. She's tremendous in it. Kate Winslet was absolutely amazing in this show. Got a little weird. It was only 6 episodes, so it's not that long, but I have to be honest with you, I didn't love the last episode, and the second to last episode was also, it didn't really pay off. That show started out, I had high hopes for it, but it's only a miniseries and ain't coming back, but 6 episodes, not terrible, but it didn't finish as strong as I had hoped. The Regime, I liked it. She lost everything. Well, spoiler alert. Well, it's not a spoiler. Her losing everything happens in like the 4th episode, so it's not a spoiler. What happens in the 6th episode is what has left me hollow. Adam wants to know, did you watch True Detective this season? He really enjoyed it. Man, you know what my problem with True Detective is, Adam? I have not. I should. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And I get it's a quality show. But I did not love season 1 of True Detective. I preferred season 2, the Vince Vaughn season, that everybody's like, that's the worst season. I'm like, okay, whatever. I thought it was more interesting. I didn't like the season of, voodoo, Louisiana, backwoods, swamp, pedophilia. I didn't like that. I liked the LA City of Industry storyline that Vince Vaughn did. So I guess I'm just not a really big fan of the True Detective. Because apparently what I like, the season I like, is the one that makes me an idiot and nobody wants to have anything to do with me. But I hear it's good. Jodie Foster, is she compelling for me in 2024? I don't know. I don't know if she was ever compelling for me. Isn't she the star of it? Or is it, who else is it? It's Jodie Foster and somebody, I don't know, whatever. Adam, if you say you like it, I'll give it a try. Leslie C says, I like The Regime. I did too. I just wanted the ending to be more. I mean, the ending was pretty mind-blowing. Like, I didn't see that happening. I did not see. And then I'm like, yeah, that's how the world works. That's right. Everybody's got a fucking safety net but me. I didn't see the ending happening the way it happened. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But I just. The idiosyncrasies that Kate Winslet used in creating this character, the weird little choices that she made, the way she talked, the way she moved, she had these she was crazy, but she was indulged. Her craziness was indulged because she was an authoritarian dictator. So if she decides that tomorrow everybody's got to wear their underwear on the outside of their outfits, everybody's going to wear their underwear, and they're not going to make any, they're not even going to say anything about it. It's just the next day, everybody's going to be in their underwear. Like, this is totally normal because she's crazy. See, I didn't spoil anything. She doesn't make them do that, but she does crazy shit. She does crazy stuff that you like. Well, I guess that's a decision you can make when nobody is ever allowed to tell you no on anything. All right. I guess that's it. Adam says, if I had to pick an anthology series, Fargo is far better done, but I like True Detective. Yeah, we'll agree on that. I think Fargo's the best show on TV. I mean, season in and season out, there's probably 5-6 seasons now. That's such a well done show. It's fascinating to me how they essentially just reinvent another story that's set in the same kind. It's not Fargo, and people are always like, it's not even in Fargo. I go, no, but it's that mindset. It's that part of the country. I love Fargo. Anthology, American Horror Story is a good anthology series. They're probably on like season 13 now. I've only seen half of them because I fell into a rhythm where I decided that only every other season of American Horror Story is good. I'm going to have to watch this season because I think I'm on the season where I have to start watching it again. What's the other one? What's the other one that Ryan Murphy does? Ryan Murphy does good anthologies. Noah Hawley, by the way, is the guy who does Fargo. But Ryan Murphy does... it's not American Horror Story. But remember, it was like People versus O.J. Simpson, and then it was the Lewinsky's, and then it was the, the fashion guy who got the Versace one. What's that series called? Because that's hit or miss. That series is pretty hit or miss. I don't know. All right. Starting to rain. It's a sloppy day. I got a lot of work to do here. So I'm going to go away now. I love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Don't forget, if you are so inclined, want to help out the show, just tip us. Thank you to Terry Barney for being our executive producer today. He's the only guy that tipped us all week. But we appreciate it. So thank you, sir. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow for another edition of the High Noon Rant. I'm Pugs Moran. My personal stream of consciousness is over.